Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now, here's Jay.
Boy, here's Jay. I think I'm a little loud here. Let me dial me down a little. I hear myself enough anyway. Welcome, please, to the Educated Retirement Show here on KMET, where we contemplate every week retirement and how to best prepare for that retirement and how to best stay successfully retired. And we have a great repeat offender today, pre-recorded with Valerie Van de Zilver, and she always gives great talks. And so I thought I'd make sure we had it again. Now, remember, the future is when? Now. And, of course, I started saying that after watching Hudsucker Proxy once again. But it's true. We have a future. We are alive. And if we are alive, we have a future. And we need to think about it now, no matter what your age is. And, knowledge is power. And our phone number is the same as it has been, 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. And I'm open to talk about Bigfoot, UFOs, or UAPs, they call them now, and even reverse mortgages and other things. The website for this show is everything about retirement finance, including the HECM. And we're right here at, theeducatedretirement.com, same as this show name. And we also have a more humorous shortcut, but this works also, drhecm.com, drhecm.com, and that stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. But as you know, I think of it more as a program than a mortgage because the amount you owe is strictly up to you. The Educated Retirement has lots of articles and stories, and especially a lot of videos on it. And a lot of very successful financial advisors are there. And there's a blog that covers a whole bunch of other stuff, too. So, if you scroll down that front page, you will see a link to KMET. Actually, there's a link to KMET at the bottom of every single page on my website. But on the front page, you can click Watch Live. But actually, it's more than just my show. It's other people's show that are on KMET, the best place to get news, to get sports, and all that good stuff. It's right here at KMET. There's also a link to my YouTube station where you can watch every show or catch up with any of our important guests. And speaking of other shows here on KMET, let's give a shout out to Let Grandpa Speak, who's been on vacation the last couple of weeks, but he's going to be here tomorrow, and I will definitely be listening. Because why? Because it's Grandpa. Everybody needs a grandpa, and when you're this old, it's nice to know somebody is even older than you are. He is on every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., and it's the best way to start your weekend with a good and a happy mood. He says he loves everyone, and if you look at him and listen to him, you will believe that. He was nominated for 5 Emmys. He won 3, and he is really a master at barbecue beef ribs. And don't forget the West Coast Business Review with Daryl McCants, who is a real master at eating barbecue ribs and everything else. He's also good at smoking cigars. So I meet with him probably every couple of weeks, and we do that. We meet in Upland, which is a really neat little downtown area. Maybe talk more about that in a week or two. And Daryl is actually a repeat offender on this show from time to time, and he's on every Wednesday at 4 p.m. And they always give a plug for this show, saying that I am a part of his advisory board, along with Bill Morris of UCI, and Yvette also on her show, which is West Coast Business Review. And Daryl's show is everything business review. But don't forget Ron Siegel's Home and Finance show here on KMET, where he talks about everything finance, as he likes to say, everything that has to do with your bank account. And he does a lot of what we call forward mortgages. And anything that you need to know about that, you can call me. I will contact him to call you back for anything like that. His show is on Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. And I'm on his show just about every month, again, talking about finance. In fact, I was on his show yesterday. Boy, when you get this old, you don't remember one day from the other. But yesterday was a very good show. So you can see that show on YouTube. You can see that show by going to the KMET link on the front page of my website. Remember, knowledge is power. And when does your home loan become an asset? Well, when you get a HECM. My day job is at a place called The Loan Source. My NMLS number is 384565, and Department of Real Estate number is 792630. And as you probably know very well by now, I do not sell real estate. I just like to stay on top of those things. And today is May the 20th. And what are we celebrating today? American Cheese Month. Melt it, toast it, or add it to a salad. May is American Cheese Month, not only American cheese, but all other cheeses that are made in America, whether it's Swiss cheese, Colby, blue, cheddar, and all that other good stuff. I have, amongst my favorite would be Munster, which as from a little kid, I always called it Monster, so I still do. And modern American cheese is a type of processed cheese developed in 1910, made from cheddar and Colby. I didn't really know that till this was researched. And it has the reputation of the perfect traditional cheese for burgers, mac and cheese, as well as grilled cheese sandwiches. I also like it a lot on omelets. And what is Colby cheese? I don't know. It's a cheese originated near Colby, Wisconsin, made with a washed curd process, giving it a milder flavor, similar to cheddar, but softer and not as dry as cheddar. And I love blue cheese. And that other, what do they call that other blue cheese stuff? Roquefort, or there's
Roquefort, Gorgonzola,
all that good stuff. So most blue cheeses are cultured in caves, and many are American made. Rogue River blue cheese, made in southern Oregon, and has been since 1933. It is created wrapped in grape leaves and soaked in pear spirits. I take what soaked is the curds, right? I would take it. And Asher Blue is made in Thomasville, Georgia, and Midnight Blue in Colorado. Maytag Blue has nothing to do with the washing machines. That's made in Iowa. And Bohemian Blue, which has a lot to do with all of us here, in Wisconsin. And there is a Moody Blue, not to be confused with the Moody Blues. And that cheese, also made in Wisconsin, and is smoked over fruit wood. And how about cream cheese? Oh, yeah. Did you know that Philadelphia cream cheese is not and never has been made in Philadelphia in its 135-year history? This cream cheese was first developed and produced in upstate New York. It was named Philadelphia as that city had a reputation for its high-quality dairy farms and cheese products, so the creators decided to use Philadelphia in the name. And Kraft Heinz was the leading manufacturer of brick cream cheese in the U.S. in 2020, and probably still the same right now. And on a bagel with smoked salmon, oh yeah, and even tomato and some capers, whatever you want to do, it's wonderful. And as far as special holidays for today, it is National Endangered Species Day. Does that include humans? Yes, maybe. It depends on how you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The third Friday in May is National Endangered Species Day, and it was created to keep us aware of how fragile the existence of some animals, plants, and insects is, and reminds us to take time to learn why it's so important to protect endangered species. At least 40% of animals, insects, and plants are at risk across the world due to environmental changes, overhunting, poaching, not to be confused with poached eggs, and destruction of habitats by who? Humans. We have to protect the natural world after all. We must live in it. Local zoos may be offering special events for families today, so check it out. And speaking of endangered species, it is World Bee Day. Also, we rely so much on bees and bees cross-ventilating, cross-pollinating. Not talking about honey right now. Cross-pollinating has a huge effect on what we eat. And the purpose of World Bee Day is to get stung. No, is to acknowledge the role of bees and other pollinators for our ecosystem. They're beneficial because their pollination services help to provide food in the form of fruits, berries, nuts, and seeds, as well as peas, beans, and even trees. Not only do they pollinate foods eaten by humans, but for other animals and birds too. So without bees, we would have a hand pollen. We'd have to hand pollinate plants. That's happening in parts of China right now, and some crops are hand pollinated by humans who have to climb the trees and use a brush. This is because overuse of pesticides means there's no longer a healthy bee population to do the work for free. And did you know there are 20,000 species of bees, with 3,000 of them native to North America? Ever been stung? I have been several times, and I was really afraid of them until the first time I got stung, and then it was, ah, it hurts for a while, but no big deal. Now, wasps, different story. Bees have five eyes, and bees fly at about 20 miles an hour. Queen bees lay about 2,000 to 3,000 eggs per day, and the queen is the only bee capable of producing workers, and tens of thousands of workers are required for a strong colony. And bees have been here about 30 million years. An average beehive can hold around 50,000 bees. Foragers must collect nectar from about 2 million flowers, and these foragers are the bees, worker bees, I take it, to make a pound of honey. And the largest bee in the world is the mega chili Pluto, not to be confused with the Disney character or the once was planet. And let me show you a picture. This is the largest bee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me do that picture first. Here's a comparison with a regular bee and the big boy. And I don't want to get stung by that big one, not if I can help it. And then here's another picture, but this picture, you can't tell too much. It just looks like a bee. So bee. 4 times larger than a honeybee and measuring about the length of a human thumb. Huge mandibles hang like dastardly garden shears from its head. It lives in the forest of Indonesia. The smallest bee in the world, on the other hand, is the Perita minima, and it has less than 2 milliliters long, like the thickness of a nickel, and they nest in sandy desert soils. So let me show you what that one looks like. It's kind of a drawing, kind of light, but I think you can see it. It doesn't look that much different than any other bee. I don't see the 5 eyes on any of them, but so be it. I guess they could be good outfielders. They've got good vision, three-dimensional stuff. So be thoughtful today and plant greenery with beautiful flowers that bees in your neighborhood will be buzzing about. Now, it's time. Let me look up through the roof here. I think that NASA Nelly and the space shuttle is coming. Oh, there are her retro rockets. So let's give her uh, the floor, as it were.
Okay, this is about the UAP meeting that happened this week. Remember that special meeting this week regarding Congress, the Pentagon, and UAPs? Well, it did happen. The first public hearing in Washington on unidentified flying objects since 1966. It centered on investigations about the reported military encounters recorded on video and others. Top Pentagon officials said the number of unidentified aerial phenomena reported by pilots and service members had grown to about 400 since late last year. Some of the incidents were withheld due to adverse reactions to the witnesses, in this case, mostly military witnesses. Representative Andre Carson from Indiana and the chairman of the House of Intelligence Subcommittee on Counterintelligence opened the hearing by saying, UAPs are a potential national security threat, and they need to be treated that way. UAPs are unexplained, it's true, but they are real. They need to be investigated. Now, last year's report claimed that they were not able to explain most of the objects. In fact, they were able to only explain one out of 144 reports. The other 143 remain a mystery. It was said at this meeting that the sightings are now more frequent and continuing and often occur in military training areas and pose a safety of flight issue and to U.S. national security. At that meeting, videos were shown of a triangular object floating off the West Coast through night vision goggles. Another captured a similar object years later. They said that they were unmanned aerial systems. It was also said that the task force does not have any wreckage, no collisions between the strange objects and U.S. aircraft, but that there had been at least 11 near misses. None of the documented objects had attempted to communicate with U.S. aviators, and no attempt had been made to communicate with them. They all seemed to be unmanned or unalienated. It was also added that other countries have had their own reports of UAPs, and some of those countries communicate with the U.S. about their findings and vice versa. They said that there is evidence that the military's drive to destigmatize such reports is working. Navy and Air Force crews now have step-by-step procedures for reporting UAPs on their kneeboard in the cockpit. Ronald Moultrie, the Pentagon's top intelligence officer, said he's a science fiction fan and that simple human curiosity means that we want to know what's out there, just like you want to know what's out there. But he added that his top goal was to keep U.S. military personnel and bases safe. We are mindful of our obligation to protect sources and methods, he said. We do not want potential adversaries to know exactly what we see or understand. Before the session moved to a closed-door classified session, it was mentioned that a major focus would be on improving cooperation with the FAA and other government agencies. So we will see how long that lasts, but at least it's a start. More about that next week.
Oh, great. But you have another story also. Now, is this part of that story?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Have at it.
Yeah, and this.
Oh, and that?
And that.
But not this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go with those.
Okay, the date, May 20th, 1957. It was on a cloudy night in Kent where Milton Torres, a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot based at RAF Manston, United Kingdom, was ordered to intercept a UFO with very unusual flight patterns. It actually was motionless for long intervals. He had difficulty believing that he had just been ordered to open fire on the object. Within minutes, he was 15 miles from a mysterious object that looked as big as an aircraft carrier on his radar screen. He was ordered to fire 24 missiles, but before he could, the object vanished. Torres said that he struggled to read the codes needed to do this on a scrap of piece of paper in the cockpit. He said it was totally black and the lights were down for night flying. I used my flashlight, still trying to fly and watch my radar. To be honest, I felt like a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. I had not the foggiest idea of what actually happened, what occurred. No one could really explain it to me. After the event, he was told the mission would be considered classified. The next day, an American who looked like a well-dressed IBM salesman with a dark blue trench coat
Men in Black, no doubt.
Warned that he would be breaching national security if he talked about what had happened. Torres was angry and convinced that the British and the U.S. government had information that they're not sharing. He said, "I believe I will never know the truth. I can't be alone. We can't be alone out here. It was not made of this earth. I would love to take a tour of that UFO." It was said that if the UFO had turned out to be a civil aircraft that had strayed off its course, it could have been a major international incident, and yet it's been airbrushed out of history. Shortly after, it is reported that he did a television interview with Great Britain's Sky News and had been featured on Good Morning America and Nightline. Reporters were calling hourly, and his wife was leaving the phone off the hook. It is not clear what the consequences were for doing that. The specific details of this case were first made public in a release of UFO-related case files by the British Ministry of Defense.
And is that what we showed earlier?
In 2008.
Although it's hard to read, but
Yeah.
you know, okay.
Well, close to
Very
it.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. Also, now, this guy had what to do with it? Except he's cool.
Nothing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I just thought it was a cool picture.
It is a cool picture. Do you remember Criswell? Now, Sean, you're just a kid, so, well, no, you're not a kid, but you probably don't remember this. He had a 15-minute show every day almost, and he was featured in the Ed Wood film that was done by Tim Burton, which was great. And just one more picture. I think this was actually from the what's his name? Pensacola, whatever. But you know what? Why not look at what we think may be aliens? Of course, most people look at me and think I'm an alien. And that could be very true. We could be all aliens on somebody else's planet, but I doubt it. I think we're here. As far as UFOs are concerned, of course I believe it. Well, of course I don't know. I believe in them, but I don't know where they come. I do not know whether they come from outer space, inner space, our future, and not quite as excited about that, or other dimensions. And you know, and if you believe in the string theory or M theory, we've got a infinite number of universes, or universe I'm not sure which, and one I'm actually good looking in. So you know, there are a lot of universes out there. So you know, hopefully that's it. But let's see, NASA Nelly, do we hear your retro rockets yet? NASA Nelly. Well, she must have taken off without retro rockets. I guess she can fly by herself. And I wouldn't put it past her on that. So let's talk a little bit about making decisions. So when you make big decisions, procrastination, which I spelled wrong, that's okay, is only natural. We fight this battle every morning when we determine which activities are important and which are easy. For me, that is, what records am I going to play, and then I have to worry about which ones they are, get the tubes warmed up, and by that time I've usually made a decision. But unfortunately, making estate planning decisions based on tax law, I hate that word tax, Social Security strategies, Medicare guidelines, market conditions, and interest rate projections ain't easy. One thing we know for sure, if you are a homeowner, 62 or older, I wish I were 62, waiting to get a reverse mortgage simply does not pay. So when a financial planner tells a homeowner that their funds will run out at age X, The easiest solution is to say, I will live to age X and I will consider a reverse mortgage at that time. Otherwise, I'll crack open the home equity nest egg by one, selling the home, or either moving into a retirement home or move in with family members. I'm not sure if anybody would want me to move in with them, but that's another story. The easy solution, oh, I hear, okay. The easy solution is rarely the best. Some of the brightest retirement researchers have been publishing guidance in the Journal of Financial Planning for nearly 10 years, stating that waiting and using the reverse mortgage as a last resort is generally not a good idea. And perhaps you remember Phil Walker, who did publish a major article at the beginning of the year, says just that. Now, waiting reduces the amount of funds available to a homeowner when they need the funds when compared to those who obtained one early in retirement. Let me just sidetrack a little bit and tell you that, the older you are, the more you get at closing, the more benefit. However, if you get that loan, say 10 years earlier, then your line of credit has that extra 10 years to grow, and therefore it will be much larger than if you had waited. And in addition, there are substantial risks of waiting that cannot be ignored. So, speaking of not ignoring, I think we got some Fats Waller music in the background, but I can't really hear it. You might want to turn it up. Oh, she finally left Earth. Okay. Well, good riddance. I mean, have a good flight back, NASA Nelly. So Fats Waller was born May 21st, 1904, and he earned his wings in 1943. That is not that long. So Thomas Wright Fats Waller was an American jazz pianist, composer, singer, and entertainer. His best-known compositions, Ain't Misbehavin' and Honeysuckle Rose, were introduced into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1984 and 1999. Fats, no, we're not talking about me, but I used to was Fats. Fats copyrighted over 400 songs, many with collaborating longtime friend lyricist Andy Razif. And his innovations in the Harlem Stride style, I would get up and dance for. You want to dance? And we'll put the camera on? No. Laid the groundwork for modern jazz piano. He has been described as the soul of melody, a man who made the piano sing, a bubbling bundle of joy. And he was big in mind and definitely body, known for his generosity. Let me show you a picture. Yes, he's signed that, but we weren't there, no. And there's Fats himself, always smiling. And of course, Ain't Misbehavin', right, is in the back. And there's another happy man. Oh, that's a nice picture. There he is. And I'll do one more. There he is. He's still smiling, even with his mouth closed. I remember back in the late 80s and 90s, NASA Nelly and I had a hard time finding his records and had to go to specialty shops to get them. And of course, all that stuff has changed now. Here's to Fats. Hold on a sec. He was born in New York City. His mother was a musician, and his father was a trucker and a pastor. He started playing the piano when he was 6 and graduated to the organ at his father's church. We showed a picture of him at an organ. And as he got older, he took music lessons, paying for them by working in a grocery store. I just found out that Ornette Coleman used to operate elevator here in what do you call it, in Bullocks, in downtown Los Angeles. And speaking of music, here's one sad note that has nothing to do with Fats Waller. We lost Vangelis on the 17th of this month, and I love everything Vangelis did, just about everything, and especially his movie scores, say for Blade Runner, which was magnificent, and what he won Academy Award for, Chariots of Fire. It's also just wonderful. Anyway, we get back to him on another show. Fats left school at 15 to work as an organist in the Lincoln Theater in Harlem, earning $32 a week. He made his debut when he was 18 in a nightclub and said he easily charmed everyone, there gaining a small amount of fame in just one night. Within 12 months, he had composed his first rag. He toured around Europe, then in America. Fats later wrote music and also performed in several Broadway musicals. He created many novelty tunes in the 20s and 30s and sold them for small sums to other composers. He was kidnapped in Chicago while leaving a performance in 1926. Four men bundled him into a car, had to be a big car, and took him to the Hawthorne Inn owned by Al Capone. He was ordered inside the building and found a party taking place. With a gun to his back, he was pushed towards the piano and told to play. It terrified him, but realized he was the surprise guest at Al Capone's birthday party. Wow. Waller was one of the first African Americans to purchase a home in the Addisley Park. I don't recognize that. Addisleigh Park section of St. Albans, Queens, New York. And other early notable African American homeowners in this area were Count Basie, Lena Horne, Ella Fitzgerald, Jackie Robinson, James Brown, to name a few. There is a section, I think it's right next to, it's in the middle of Los Angeles, I think Country Club, something where at one time a lot of those people I just named also owned homes. Nice homes. And these days, of course, those areas are very well integrated, luckily. Waller received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1993. Really? So he was, when did we say he passed away? I think
yeah.
let's check. Let's do
it was
let's do a fact check on Jay. And says he passed away in 1940. Oh, well, obviously it was after his death. He doesn't have to be there on stage to get the award. So there. And we've got still that playing. Let me show you some of the records that I have, and this is only a few of them.
This is the one that's playing.
This is the one that's playing right now. Ain't Misbehavin'. And that first song was Honeysuckle Rose. Second one, Ain't Misbehavin'. Can't Give You Anything But Love, Baby. Two Sleepy People, I believe, is what's happening right now. And I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. It's a sin to tell a lie. And it goes on from there. The Joint is Jumpin', T for Two. Anyway. Oh, and of course, one of my favorite, Your Feet's Too Big.
This is the music.
And what's the guy I just was telling Sean about? Junior Wells. We got an album of his yesterday. And speaking of Your Feet's Too Big, this one of his was Big-Legged Woman. But anyway, here is a show that I saw with Nelly quite a while ago. We saw it in Los Angeles. And
I think we went a couple of times.
Yeah, we saw it a couple of times, actually. And this is part of the rebirth of, what really makes him famous today. This is somebody else playing this stuff, but I really, really like that cover, right? Yeah, love that cover. And what's the, This is one of those originals we had to really look deep for. It's a box set of Fats. And, well, I won't take the time to open it now.
This is on the radio.
And this is live at the Yacht Club. It is a radio performance right here.
Yeah.
And don't we have some radio, we have that other record of radio performances of him and some other people. Fats Waller's Story, 2 LPs. And since I got this in the 90s or late 80s, it was $5. It would probably be $85 today. But there we go, a 2-record set, a radio broadcast made by Fats between 1936 and 1943, plus a musical biography as told by his friends. So I think that we showed that picture once before. And of course, a cigarette out of his mouth, whether that had to do with his early death or not, I can only, who knows. But we do have at least a great legacy of albums to listen to. What's that?
Lower?
Yeah, you can make it a little lower. It doesn't matter, though. I don't think it's getting in the way. Is it, Sean? Nope, it's not getting in the way. So, just up to you, Nelly. Next person to talk about is Arthur Conan Doyle, or Conan Doyle. And he was born on the 22nd of 1859, and he passed on in 1930. So Sir Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle was a British writer, as we all know, and physician. Now, that's something I didn't know until we went into this looking these things up, and I guess that's where Dr. Watson comes from.
Oh, yeah.
And as well as a spiritualist, mystic, who created the famous brilliant detective Sherlock Holmes in 1887, the crime fiction writer was interested in mystical subjects and paranormal phenomena. Well, I like paranormal phenomena, and I wish I could believe in the mystical stuff, but one thing at a time. He was a member of the society called the Ghost Club, attending and participating in seances. This club was founded in 1862 and actually investigated ghosts and hauntings. And there were many members over the years, including writer Charles Dickens and even Peter Cushing, that joined. It briefly closed after the death of Dickens, later resumed and still continues monthly in London. And a supernatural dispute between Arthur was friends with magician Harry Houdini, who he was friends with, but absolutely opposite on the spiritual thing. And Harry was convinced that was supernatural powers, had supernatural powers, or he believed that Houdini did. In early years, Harry would take seance performances to pay the bills. This popular entertainer of the day knew the tricks and the trade and wasn't easily fooled. Those tricks included flickering candles, rocking chairs, the clanging of bells, as well as doors opening and closing. Arthur was an avid believer in spiritualism, and his wife was a practicing medium. They would conduct seances in their home, and Harry was invited to attend them. At one time, the Doyles visited New York. Houdini invited them to a banquet at the Society of American Magicians. He promised to demonstrate how a magician fakes spiritual phenomenon. Doyle said he looked upon the subject as sacred. Harry borrowed Doyle's dinner jacket. Now wearing that jacket, he was bound and locked in a trunk. When the trunk was opened, Houdini's wife was inside wearing Doyle's jacket and shocked the audience. At one of Arthur's home seances, Lady Doyle offered to help Harry communicate with his dead mother. During the seance, Doyle uttered strange sounds and reached for a notebook. She quickly scribbled 15 pages, wow, with notes from his mother, which made Harry suspicious as the notes were in English and his mother was German. But that, I may not believe that myself, but she could have written down any language. There was a cross written on each page. His mother was Jewish, okay. Arthur became defensive and said Harry was actually a true believer. Harry said Arthur was a bit senile, like they could say me, and easily bamboozled. If you're listening to the show, you are being bamboozled. So Arthur Conan Doyle wrote 56 Sherlock Holmes short stories and 4 novels. And I really consider Jeremy Brett as the best of all of the actors playing Holmes in the British TV series from 1984 to 1994. It's said that William Gillette was great, but I haven't really seen him. And let's take a quick look at Arthur. He is very prim and proper, ain't he not? Very, very nice. Here's another one. Looking like Dr. Watson, I guess.
I presume.
Oh, I presume. That's right. Oh, here he is with ectoplasm coming out of his nose or something. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but I know it was supposed to be ectoplasm from some dead spirit. Or gone spirit, I guess, in his world. Nobody was ever dead. Not a bad way to think about things. And what do we have here? Houdini. Here's some pictures of Houdini. Boy, does he look pissed. Well, he looks serious anyway. And here's another Houdini weenie right there. Looking very prim and proper now. So he could be, I guess, the Sherlock Holmes to Doyle's Watson. Wonder how that would turn out. And here's another more seriousness looking one of Harry. And here's a quick picture of Jeremy Brett, who I really consider the absolute greatest and bestest Sherlock Holmes. And yeah, we've got every one of them on disc, and we watch them actually multiple times. Now here's a set of Sherlock Holmes rarities, it's called. I'm not sure how rare they are. Who is the guy that plays Sherlock Holmes on these? It is Arthur Wontner. Wontner. So I've seen most of these. I see them on TV also. And somebody by the name of Ian Fleming plays Dr. Watson, but it ain't the same Fleming as we know. Just to let you know what to look for, there's one set, and there's another set. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes 5-disc box set. And here is Casebook, starring Jeremy Brett. Great. There were 2 different Dr. Watsons, and they were both great also in their roles. And one more. These are the films. There was I think 5 feature films done in the series, and they are all in here. And they would be The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Last Vampire, which is really nice, The Sign of 4, which is one of the best, and Eligible Bachelor, and The Master Blackmailer. Those are all feature-length stories, so well done by by him. And who's this?
Yeah. The next.
Okay. Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Raymond Burr of Godzilla fame, who we all know was not in the original Godzilla, but it was a great move on Mr. Honda, or whoever at the studio decided to put an American in there, and that continued for a lot of the monster movies to make it more palatable for an American audience. So Raymond, oh, you got to see this. Let's do some pictures first. There he is. Mason, there he is in the flesh. Kind of looks like him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Perry Mason. Here he is as he's growing into that role. What do you think? And here he is as Perry Mason. Huh? We all know what that one is, don't we? What do I got here? Oh, a more mysterious one. Well, it's probably a headshot he did for some movie stuff. And he was in another series too, in a wheelchair, Ironside. There he is, quite a bit younger, probably even before Godzilla. And who's this?
Same thing.
One
in
more.
the courtroom.
Oh yeah, in the courtroom. Why not? And the guy that wrote Perry Mason,
Not Chandler.
no. It'll come to
Yeah.
us.
I have to.
But his office is in Ventura, and there's a plaque on the wall of that building that his office was his law office, and who wrote these stories is in Ventura. And by the way, Ventura is a great destination. You can take the train from almost anywhere in Southern California. Anybody that is hearing this, within range of the radio station anyway, and beyond, can take Amtrak. And it's not that long. It's a great trip. It's a great overnight trip if you want. It could even be a day trip. But downtown Ventura is, to me, kind of overlooked, but really, really cool. It's only about 5 blocks long, but they've got some great restaurants. And we'll talk about that restaurant at another time. But, of course, his main role, well, all right, Perry Mason was his main role, but there he is there. And he's not there, but he was narrating, as you probably know. And look at Godzilla's eyes. Yeah, nice. Very nice. And we got one more Godzilla. King of the Monsters. I just like that picture. That's why I'm showing it to you. Now, this one has Raymond in it, and we've got the versions without him, but so be it. There he is. Now, Raymond was an American actor, appeared in over 50 films and many television shows. The most popular show he starred in was Perry Mason, and the series ran from 1957 to 1966, had 30 million viewers every Saturday night, and received 3,000 fan letters a week. And Burr won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Perry Mason. And, the only thing is, they all ended the same way, with the guilty party on the stand. And, well, so be it. And did you know Raymond was a collector of wine, art, stamps, and seashells? He had an interest in flying, sailing, and fishing. I have an interest in eating fish. He was one of the earliest breeders of Portuguese water dogs in the United States, as well as cultivated orchids into a business with a friend. They added more than 15,000 new orchids to the worldwide catalog. And just to show you a couple more of the films he was in, here is Ann Baxter, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and Raymond Burr, and Fritz Lang, great. I love Fritz Lang stuff, and we've talked about him so many times, all the way back to Metropolis and whatever. Anyway, there is the blue gardenia. Did I get my color right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Here is a film noir, Pitfall, which I've watched 100 times. So I don't. Anyway, with Dick Powell and Jane Wyatt, and there's some neat pictures in the back here, including one of Raymond Burr. I think there looks pretty good. No. So that's that on him. So go ahead and take a look, and take that train to. When are we going to take a train to Ventura?
Soon. We'll make
Soon.
this up.
Soon. Better be soon. We can even do the show from there. Not worried about that at all. Okay, well, we got a few more things to talk about, but we will be back to talk about those things. And, well, I got a choice of several things, but let's do James Stewart, who was born May 20th, 1908, and left us in 1997. And when we take a break, we'll just come back. And James was an American actor, and he starred in over 80 films and won 1 Oscar for Best Actor in The Philadelphia Story. He kept that Oscar statuette displayed in his father's hardware store for 25 years. And here's a short list of his films. Here's a short picture of him, which we all pretty much know what he looks like. What's this?
Him in his plane.
Aeroplane.
Mhm.
And he looks a little bit young there, but so be it. First, yeah, there he is as a pilot. And I don't know if you can see that, but we give it a try. And here's a short list of his films. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, film nominated for 5 Academy Awards, directed by Frank Capra. And with that, we will be signing off now. Oh, let me show this. A Christmas favorite, but we have just a few seconds, so let me say thank you so much for being with us this first hour. And please stick with us over the news, and appreciate it very much. And you'll hear from us soon. Thank you.